Everyone, we're going to simplify polynomials by factoring and using synthetic division. This is basically a review of everything. For example, basically, we want to know what zeros are for a polynomial. So, for example, for this one, if we were to write the polynomial, this would be x minus 4 times x minus a negative 2 times x minus 1, which equals x minus 4 times x plus 2 times x minus 1. Remember, the zeros are where it crosses, the graph crosses the x-axis. So let's do another one where we have zeros at, let's say, 5, negative 3, and 2. So if we do one more, let's do one more. That would be x minus 5, and then we're just going to make this x plus 3. It's x minus a negative 3, and then x minus 2. So that would be your polynomial. And sometimes they ask you questions, for example, for the roots. Remember, roots and 0 mean the same thing. So let's try, if they give you the roots of a quadratic. And quadratic just means the degree is 2. So basically, let's say the roots are 5 and 2/3. So if the roots are 5 and 2/3, basically what you're doing is your polynomial would be x minus 5 and x minus 2/3. But they don't write it this way. What they do is they will write this as x minus 5 times 3x minus 2. So they're moving the 3 here, and I'll show you why. Because if you set this to 0, and we already know if we set this first part to 0, we get 5. But the second part, we're going to set to 0. 3x minus 2 equals 0. And when you solve for x, you're going to get 3x equals 2. And we divide both sides by 3, we get x equals 2/3. So that's where it crosses the x-axis. So instead of writing it this way, we want to write it this way. Okay? Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty. We have to factor this. This follows our factoring facts of x squared minus b squared equals a minus b times a plus b. So in this case, I'm going to write down what's my a and what's my b. So my a is x squared, because x squared to the second power is x to the fourth, and my b is 6. So I'm just going to fill it in here. So I'm going to get x squared minus 6 times x squared plus 6. And that's all you have to do. Of course, it doesn't matter what order you put this in, because it's just multiplying. And that would be your answer, simplified. Okay, the next one is the same principle. We want to follow the formula of x squared minus b squared equals a minus b times a plus b. So basically I need to know my a and I need to know my b. My a in this case is going to be 4x to the fourth. If you multiply these two, that's going to be 8. And then 4 squared is 16. And in this one, I'll just do this in red, we get 10y to the third. Because 3 times 2 is 6, and that gives you the 6. And 10 squared, of course, is 100. So I just plug in my a, so I can write it out. A is 4x to the fourth, and b is 10y cubed. So you just plug it into this formula. So we get 4x to the fourth minus 10y cubed times 4x to the fourth plus 10y cubed, or vice versa. That's your answer. All right, the next one, we're going to use factoring by grouping. And we're going to just take this first part. And I'm going to pull out a 3x squared using my highest common factor. And that leaves me x plus 1. And then I have plus 1 times x plus 1. Now I can group these two together. And that gives me 3x squared plus 1 times x plus 1. Because these are the same. And let me remind you why this works. Because when you FOIL, remember first, outer, inner, last, this would be first and outer. Well, there it is right here. First, outer. So that's equivalent. And then this part here would be inner, last, which is right here. Inner, last. So basically, this is just the distributive method. And this is more the FOIL method. But they're equivalent. Let's do this one. This one's this is the sum of cubes. And for the formula is a cubed. I'm going to go ahead and do plus or minus. We have a plus here, but I'm going to do both. Equals a plus or minus b times a squared minus ab plus b squared. So all we have to find out is, we have the plus here. So basically I'm going to use the plus, which is a cubed plus b cubed equals a plus b times a squared minus ab plus b squared. This should have been a plus right here. All right. So all I have to do is figure out my a and b, and I'm going to fit it in, my a cubed plus b cubed. So my a, I take the cube root of that, and that's 6. So 6s. Cube root of 27 is 3. Then we have the t. So my a equals 6s, and my b equals 3t. Now just fill it into this formula. So we have 6s plus 3t times, now we have to square this, so that's going to be 36x s squared minus, then we're going to multiply these two, which is going to be 18st, and then we're going to just square this one, which is plus 9t squared. And that's how you would factor that. Okay? If it was minus, it would be kind of the opposite. If it was minus, it would be 6s minus 3t, and then it would be 36st plus 18st plus 9t squared. Right? This one is simplifying, so we're just going to have to FOIL this out. And so we're going to get 6 terms. I'm going to FOIL the 2k, multiply it by each piece. So I'm going to get 2k cubed minus 8k squared minus 6k. Then I'm going to do multiply these 3 terms by 3. That's going to be plus 6k squared minus 12k minus 9. Then all you have to do is simplify. There's nothing to add to that, to the cube ones. We have negative 8k squared plus 6k squared. That gives me negative 2k squared. Then we have negative 6k minus 12k. That's going to be minus 18k, and then we're left with minus 9. All right? So in this case, we put it back together, which is actually easier than trying to factor that. Here's another one that's factoring by grouping, I believe. Let's see if I can factor by grouping. So I'm going to pull out x squared here, and I get 3x minus 4, plus I'm going to factor out a 3, and I'm going to get 3x minus 4. You only can factor by grouping if your two factors here are the same. Since they are the same, I can put these two together, group them together, and then just combine. This is just going to be 1. All right? And if you FOILed this out and multiplied, you would get x squared times 3x minus 4. That's the first and outer. And then if I multiplied those two, I would get 3 times 3x minus 4, which yields this back. All right. Now we have synthetic division. So I'm just going to divide by synthetic division. So I'm going to take this part and set it to 0. And so that means x is 1. I'm going to put my 1 here. And I just pull out my coefficients. And pull down the 2. We're going to multiply these two, then add, multiply, and add, multiply these two, and add. So my quotient's going to be 2x squared plus 5x plus 1, and my remainder equals negative 9. And most mathematicians write it like this. You write minus 9 over your factor. So that would be your answer. All right. And we have one more. So I'm going to put my 4 here. And in this case, I have to put placeholders for all of, this is 1, my x's, and then x to the 0. So I'm going to have 1 for this one. I don't have an x cubed. I don't have an x squared. I don't have an x to the first, but I do have x to the 0, which is negative 5. Remember, x to the 0 equals 1. X to the 0 equals 1. So now, bring down your 1. You multiply and add. Multiply and add. Oh my goodness. Multiply, so that's 64. And add. So you get 64. Oh, I did not do this on that. So 64, let me multiply this. So you get 16,256. And add. So that's going to be 251. So you're going to get x cubed plus 4x squared plus 16x plus 64. The last part's always your remainder. So it's going to be plus 25 is your remainder over x minus 4. And that would be your answer. That was kind of the hard one and the last one. Okay, thank you all and have a nice day. Bye-bye.